Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those who are new, welcome. My name is Monica. In today's video, I'm going to go over the books that I read for the second half of November and give you the stats for the whole month. My reading month in November was off the charts. It was crazy. I'm not going to lie. I did not realize I was reading that much, but I also had a lot of stuff going on where I have ADHD. And I had a lot of driving to do. I don't like listening to music while I'm driving. I prefer to listen to audiobooks. And it wasn't just that. There was a lot of doctor's appointments and other stuff that happened. And then I had time off on my job because of the holidays and Veterans Day and all that stuff. So I ended up reading 60 books in November. And I actually cut it off early so I had time to do the stats and stuff. So yeah, 60 books. And out of those 60 books, I had 11 5 stars, 13 4.5 stars, 10 4 stars, 13 3.5 stars, 4 3 stars, 2 books I didn't rate because I was going to rate them lower than 3 stars, then 4 DNFs and 3 rereads. I read 5 ebooks and had 55 audiobooks. So it was a heavy month for audiobooks. It usually is for me, but there was a lot going on, and it was what it was. So for subgenre and genre breakdown, I read 3 historical romances, 35 contemporary romances, 2 sports romances, 2 romantic suspense, 2 dark romances, 1 erotic, 2 paranormal romances, 5 romanticities, 2 cozy mysteries, 3 historical fictions, and 3 nonfictions. So let's just get into my favorite books for the second half of November. So the first one that I finished, it was Taurus Season by Bren Weaver. I gave that 4.5 stars. I did round it down to 4 stars. I had a lot of fun with this. This is Harper and Nolan, and they're both serial killers with tragic pasts. And he wants revenge, and she wants to keep her town safe. Her town is called Cape Carnage. And there was a lot of twists and turns. If you like Butcher and Blackbird and that whole trilogy, you're gonna love Taurus Season. That audiobook was fantastic. I absolutely loved that audiobook. There was very dark, very gross, very funny, and it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with it. What made me round it down instead of rounding it up was the whole Alzheimer's subplot. Yeah, I'm over the whole dementia Alzheimer's subplot for parental figures. I'm gonna leave it at that. So anyway, let's move on to the next book, which is When Ivy Met Mr. Holiday by Jennifer Peel. I'm sorry, Ralphie is in a Ralphie mood. He's been like this all day. I gave this 4.5 stars, and I did round it down to 4 stars when I did this. And there was just some conflict that I didn't particularly like. So Jack is America's heartthrob. Think Glenn Powell type of a heartthrob. And his best friend is Ivy. She's a hairdresser. And she thinks that a man and a woman could be just friends. And he has been absolutely smitten with her since they met. And he's like, no, women and men just can't be friends. Anyway, so they end up fake dating. There's a whole thing with a crazy ex that happens with this, which, yeah, that bothered me. Also, Ivy was seriously stubborn, so I was like, okay. And I love that Jack would do anything for the love of his life, and he did. And I would recommend checking this one out for the holiday season. Now, the next one I do want to talk about is also a holiday romance, and it is Let Your Hearts Be Light by Faye Quinn. So if you saw my TBR video for holiday romances, you'll realize that I bought this a year ago, and I actually thought, I have no idea what I thought. I thought it was like a fae romance, like literally fairies. So I don't know what I was tripping on when I did that, but I purchased it on a sale and then forgot about it until I was looking at my backlist for some holiday romances to try and get down my backlist on my Audible library. And I was like, oh, this one, and I was like, oh, it's an MM romance. I thought it was fae, a Christmas fae romance. I didn't know because, well, I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, that still makes me laugh a lot, but I really enjoyed this. Lexi gave it 5 stars. I gave 4 stars. I absolutely adored this one. This is a Grumpy Sunshine MM holiday romance, and I really like Baxter and Paxton. And their kids are the ones who forced them together, so they're kind of parent trapped them a little bit, and the character growth was fantastic. Absolutely loved how they fell for each other. It was very, very swoony. The holiday vibes were there and they were a lot of fun. I just love how Baxter and Paxton just fell for each other and did things for each other, and the character growth was really, really well done. And honestly, I probably, if I changed my ratings, which I don't generally, but if I did, I would probably put it up to 4.5 stars because I've been thinking about that book a lot and it is just fantastic and I would recommend it. So the next book that I would like to just quickly talk about, it's called The Welcoming by Nora Roberts. I'm going through her backlist, as we all know. This one is Forced Proximity. It's a police romantic suspense, and Roman is an undercover agent and he's investigating a crime around Charity's Inn. Charity, she doesn't know anything that's going on. There is this drug trafficking illegal activity that people are using her inn for. She has no idea that they're doing that. And so while he's doing his job to bust the bad guys, they fall in love. It's short, it's entertaining, it's a romantic suspense. It's Nora Roberts. I gave 4 stars. It was a good time and I would recommend it. So the next book I read, it was actually an audiobook from Ellie Hazelwood. It was Bound. And this was a paranormal forced proximity, touch her and die type of a hero. I gave 4.5 stars. I did round this up to 5 stars. So this story is about Vero Mercer, or Veronica Mercer. She is a art history grad student, and she dabbles making forgeries with this guy who she works with. But they're actually making forgeries better because she's really, really good at that. And this is to help cover her debts. Well, in walks Dr. Victor Ashworth, and he is very much a vampire, but she doesn't know it. And he basically kidnaps her and tells her she needs to make a forgery of this book because he needs to get a bad guy out of hiding so he can kill him. And Vero and Victor just fall head over heels in love with each other. It was short. It was a lot of fun. It had the Ellie Hazelwood sense of humor, which I do appreciate. And I really like this. I think she should write more paranormal romances. I think she's doing a great job at it. And then the next book that I read that just I absolutely adored, and I'm not going to talk a lot about this because I can't without giving a lot away, is The Seven Rings. And this is the 3rd book in the Lost Brides trilogy by Nora Roberts. And this one, you have to read The Inheritance in the Mirror first because you have to understand how everything started. And we are continuing to follow Sonia, who is in love with Trey, and Owen, who is her cousin, and Cleo is her best friend, and they are in this old haunted house in Maine, and there's a curse around the Poole family, which is her dad's biological family, inherits this house from her uncle that she did not know she had because her father was adopted. And so they are trying to break this curse. It had all the ghost characters that I absolutely loved from the first 2 books are in this one, and I really, really loved how it ended. The way it ended, just, it was so well done. I gave it 5 stars. This whole series, I gave 5 stars, and I would recommend that if you want to check out Nora Roberts, this is a great place to start. Then I went on to, because Brimstone came out the same day as The Seven Rings. I listened to The Seven Rings first because it was shorter. Then I went on to Brimstone. It seems like I am in the minority here, but I absolutely adored this book. I love Kingfisher and Sirius. I love how everything went down in this book. I know there was inconsistencies in the plot. I know that it probably needed another pass with an editor. I know all this. I'm not unaware of this. But here's the thing. I adored these characters. I adored Archer, who is this fire sprite. That made me tear up. Onyx the fox made me tear up. I loved the paper cranes in the library, and I love the plot line of his mother's plot line, the subplot line of his mother. Absolutely love that. I love the banter between Kingfisher and Carrion, and I love how their relationship progressed. It was just a great time. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. It was everything that I wanted it to be, but I also, if you remember back, I did listen to Kingfisher's POV in between reading Quicksilver, which I read at the beginning of the year, and when Brimstone came down. So I had all that insight from Kingfisher's point of view, that little novella. So I think that really did help my understanding of the novel. So moving on to the next one is Marian Bright by Ali Rosen. I gave this one 4.5 stars. I rounded it out to 4 stars on Goodreads. And I've talked about this a lot, so I'm not going to really talk about it. I am going to put a video that I talked about it. I'm going to link that video down below. It was talking about different holiday novellas. And so I gave that one 4.5 stars. I'm also not going to talk a lot about Triple Tidings by Cleo White because it's also in that video. So if you want to know my full thoughts, please go watch those videos. I gave that one 4.5 stars and I rounded that up to 5 stars on Goodreads. This is a cozy MMF holiday romance where they all have a second chance with each other and together, and it's Snowden. I had a lot of fun. So I listened to the ALC of How to Grieve Like a Victorian. This is more fiction than romance. There is a very small romantic subplot. I gave this, again, 4.5 stars, rounded up to 5. This is about Lizzie. She is a professor of English literature. She wrote a very popular YA series where her books are being made into movies, so she has that. She's also a mom to a 6-year-old boy named Heathcliff. Her favorite book is Wuthering Heights. And she's a widow. Her husband Philip died 2 months ago in a car accident after he learned something, and he was coming home to tell her. Lizzie's devastated. She's a type of rule follower where she needs to know how to proceed, so she used her knowledge of English literature and history and started grieving her husband as a Victorian would grieve her husband. Think about how Queen Victoria grieved Prince Albert. That's how she was trying to grieve her husband. And it was a little weird for a lot of people. And she even knew it was a little weird because she had a jade locket where she had a lock of her husband's hair that she wore around her neck. And then she had this urn that was in the shape of a bird that she would carry a bit of her husband's ashes. But here's the thing, she also lost her mom a little bit before her husband had tragically died, so she was grieving ×2. So she and her husband's best friend Henry, they kiss. She freaks out at work and goes to England, to London, to do some research and to get away from everything and really to understand her feelings and to understand why she was having these feelings about Henry, what was going on with Philip. And she meets this guy who is crazy, and he's a well-loved mystery writer. And there's a lot of fun scenes in this where she did burlesque dancing and stuff, which was honestly a lot of fun. This was well written. It was well thought out. The characters were really well done. If you're going to look for a romantic subplot, it's very weak. So I would recommend just going in this with your expectations checked if you're a romance reader, but I would recommend checking this out. It was really well done. So the next book I read was Signal Moon by Kate Quinn. This is a novella. I give 4.5 stars, rounding out to 5 stars. Man, this was a good time. This one is about Matt, who is an American sailor. He's in the Navy, and he's from 2023. And it's also about Lily, who is a British debutante turned radio controller. So she was fighting the Germans in 1943. And think about the movie, if you've ever seen it. It's called Frequency with Dennis Quaid and Jim Caviezel. I think that's how you say his name. Anyway, so some signals got crossed and Lily heard his ship get attacked. And so they were both able to help each other out. and they bonded over their shared experiences with war with the signal disruption. They knew that they couldn't tell anybody about the signal disruption because who would believe them? Anyways, these characters were really fleshed out. The story was really solid. I absolutely had a great time. It held my attention. And it's on KU Read and Listen, so go check that one out. And then I listened to the ALC of Where You Belong by Kristen Proby. This one is the last book in the Blackwell's of Montana series. Okay, so this one was teased for the last few books. This is about Brooks Blackwell, and he was very angry at Juliet. She's come back to town, and they had this history. So we knew they had a history, and he hated her. We did not find out their history until the prologue of Where You Belong. Juliet's come back, and in those 15 years, more tragic things has happened to her, and he's very upset with her. But then they had a conversation. They communicated with each other. They realized that they needed each other. They realized that they never stopped loving each other because they didn't. They were each other's person from the beginning. And I wasn't completely sold on Brooks as a hero until this line, and it says, quote, "A man's job is to calm storms, not create them," unquote. I was like, yes. I absolutely love Juliet as a character. She just grew into a strong heroine, and the way she loved every part of Brooks, even his temperament, because he was very cranky. She said, quote, "I always want you, even when I'm so tired that I can't keep my eyes open," unquote. There's so much found family vibes to this entire series, and it just formulated on everything. Like when the third act conflict happened, they all came together, they all worked together to help the situation. And I absolutely loved the support that the whole family and the friends came together. This was just such a great ending to a very good series from Kristen Proby. I would recommend this entire series. This book was a great ending to a really emotional series, but there's more to it than that. But anyway, then I moved on to A Pack for Winter by Elena Lee. This one is about Ivy. She is I think a 4th grade teacher or something like that, and she has her pack mates Rome, Logan, and James. Rome, I believe it was Rome and James are together, so it's MMFM. Rome is the new teacher at her school, and they all just sort of fit together. And when they realized that Ivy was their Omega, they did everything to help her and protect her. Now, I will say this. I kind of laughed at the description of a teacher, because there's one thing they got really wrong in here, and I was like, and that's probably why I put it down, because I was jiving with this, and I was going to give it a 4.5. And then she started talking about how gen ed teachers write IEPs. They don't. It's the special education teachers who write IEPs, because Ivy was a people pleaser and she was trying to have people help them. When that happened, I was like, no, that's not how it works. But nice try. It was not how it works. But for the romance, it was fantastic. Absolutely love the romance. I love the town. I love the characters. I love the whole vibe of it. And so 4 stars for that one. I would recommend that one. And I still kind of laugh at that. But so the next book that I would like to talk about is The Problem with Dating by Brittany Cherry. I gave this 4.5 stars, and I rounded it up to 5 stars. I absolutely adore this book. It's about Yara. She has a horrible ex-husband who's the chief of police, who abuses his situation just to make her life hell. And our hero is Alex. He is a Michelin star chef who opens up a high-end restaurant in a small town as a favor to someone. And it was a lot of fun. Yara and Alex meet when he accidentally steps in dog poo when she was out walking her dog, and she was just having a bad day at that moment. But then they end up coming together, and they end up fake dating to get her ex-husband off her back. And that worked a little bit, but as they fake dated, they fell in love because they got to know each other. And I loved how she was with the dogs. That part was fantastic. I really loved Alex. I loved his emotional journey and his character growth. And I just I loved him as a hero. He was a fantastic hero. The way he stood up for Yara, especially around the people who were just dissing her, and it was just amazing. I absolutely love him as a hero. The plot was interesting. I was invested in the romance early on, and I would highly recommend you check out this book. And then I read Merry Little Christmas by Lauren Blakely. This is on my holiday TBR for this year. And this is a grumpy hockey player and a single dad. He becomes a client of his best friend's sister, she is a matchmaker. And Rowan doesn't believe in love or Christmas because of something that pretty much destroyed his faith in both of those on Christmas. His daughter is fantastic. Absolutely love her. There's a lot of great banter. I love how they have dating lessons because she's trying to teach him how to date properly. And it was very funny. It was very festive. It was very cute. It was very sexy. It went on a little too long for my personal enjoyment, but Isla as a heroine, absolutely adored her. Rowan absolutely adored him, and I would recommend checking this book out if you haven't done so already, especially around the holiday season. And then at the end of this last week, I started the McGregor series from Nora Roberts. It's, I want to say, 10 full-length books with one novella. This one we start with Serena McGregor and Justin Blade. So her father, Daniel McGregor, is a nut job. I absolutely adore him. He's the Scotsman, larger than life, loves to dictate people's lives. He is a self-made billionaire, and she has 2 older brothers, and she meets Justin when her father tells him to go on a cruise where she's working, because she works as Justin's a professional gambler, but he also owns 5 casino hotels. He's also part Comanche. So that does play into some of the plot around the conflict in their story. So Serena doesn't need the money, didn't need the job, but she wanted to learn how to run a gambling establishment, and so she spent the better part of a year on this cruise. And he came in as one of the players when she was doing blackjack. He took to her immediately, and neither of them realized that Daniel had kind of forced them together until she told him her last name, and then he realized who she was and he started laughing. They really hit it off. There's a lot of banter back and forth because she's like, no, I cannot date a passenger. So when the cruise ends, she goes and she moves into his hotel, and he moves her into his suite because she ends up becoming co-owner of that one hotel. And then stuff start happening with another hotel, and it affects Justin and Serena at their hotel in New Jersey. And that's all I can say. That was part of the suspense plot. There is no third act breakup here. I absolutely loved their banter back and forth. I loved that he was a man's man and he protected Serena. And I absolutely loved her. She was a ball buster. Couldn't ask for a better type of heroine. But another one that I do want to talk about a little more is the third book in the McGregors, and it's All the Possibilities. This is Shelby Campbell and Alan McGregor. They meet at a party. He's just smitten with her. She is this free-spirited artist. However, her father was a politician who was assassinated, and while they had a connection, she was never going to do anything about it because she was never going to date a politician because of her father. And I understand that would be a motivating factor if it was me, because all she saw was her father being killed. So Alan is a senator. He was a congressman from Massachusetts. Think about the Kennedys. And he is about to be tapped to become president of the United States, which we find out in later books he does. He becomes a 2-term president. Because in the McGregor Brides, which is the one I'm listening to now, we find that out about them. And I was like, and so Kane from book 2 ends up being the district attorney. So like I said, the Kennedys. And anyhow, so Shelby doesn't want anything to do with Alan. Alan wants everything to do with Shelby, and he really understands her, and he shows how much he understands her by giving all these gifts, and he's really, really patient with her. And once he figured things out, and once she figured things out, they had a great romance, and I really enjoyed this. I gave this one 4 stars as well. So yeah, that is it for November. That was not a lot to talk about with the amount of books I read, because I did DNF a little bit and some of them were fine. But I mean, that's the way it goes, right? Anyway, I am going to end this video here. Let me know if you've read any of these down below. Let me know if you're interested in any of these down below. Let me know all the things. And if you made it this far in this video and you want to let me know that you're here, go ahead and leave me a Christmas tree emoji, because tomorrow is December 1st. And until next time, my friends, happy reading and have a great holiday season. Bye.